In the last session, we have seen the static website hosting and transfer acceleration, right? Okay, so so in this session, let's start with replication rules. That is also a feature of S3 service. Let us start with that, and then we can move on with the other features also. Give me a second. Let me share my screen. Yes, okay. Okay, so in this session, let us talk about replication rules. Let us talk about replication rules. Okay, can you guess what might be these replication rules are? Just based on the name, can you guess? Based on the name, I think you might guess like, okay, it might, I mean, we need to create some rules which can replicate, right? Okay, what exactly the replication means? What is the meaning of replication? What exactly the replication stands for? So we can say the replication is kind of copy everything from one location to another location. And coming to this S3 context, let us say, so here we are having an S3 bucket. Right? First, I will tell you some problem, how this replication rules will overcome such challenges and all. So this is the S3 bucket, right? And here we have a user, right? So every day he will upload some objects to your S3 bucket. So Amazon will provide 99.99% of availability or 11 nines of durability. So there is no data loss. But what if this user accidentally deleted some data from your S3 bucket? You can't recover that because whenever we delete manually, Amazon thinks that we don't need the data anymore and they will delete all the copies of that particular object. So here we need some kind of a backup strategy, right? Let us say you went for a trip with your friends. So you clicked a lot of pictures and all, right? Generally, what we do, we will store all those images in your laptop and then you will store into Google Drive, or you will keep a copy in the pen drive or external hard drive or something, right? Multiple copies of those images. Why? Accidentally, if your hard disk got crashed, if your computer got crashed, we can get data from your Google Drive or something like pen drive or something, right? A kind of a backup. The same way here, Amazon is offering you a feature called replication rules, by using which you can maintain the same set of data in a different S3 bucket. So you might say, okay, why should I create these rules and all? So here I have another bucket, right? So whenever this user is uploading an object, I will ask him to upload the same object to the S3 bucket. Let us say this is a bucket 2 and this is a bucket 1. So you can ask the like how we can maintain a copy of your images in multiple locations. Whenever a user is uploading some data to the bucket, you can ask him to upload the same data to the bucket 2. So even if the data got deleted from bucket 1, we can have a copy of that data into bucket 2. But the problem is here, everything is going to be a manual process. Sometimes the user might forget to upload the object or the data into the bucket 2. So here, Amazon introduced or S3 introduced a replication rules concept. Replication rules. So assume these buckets can be in any region, that doesn't matter. There is no rule that the buckets must be in the same region. There is no restriction for that. You can have the bucket in any region. Okay, right. So here I will say this is the actual primary bucket, bucket 1, the one which in the red color, and I will call it as source bucket. I will call it as a source bucket. With the help of replication rule, what is my requirement is whatever the data exists in the bucket 1 must be replicated to bucket 2. So this is going to be my destination bucket. All the data to be replicated like this automatically, like whenever this user uploaded, immediately that once it got uploaded to the S3 bucket, immediately that should be copied to S3 bucket, the destination bucket. How it is possible is, if you recollect in the first session of the S3, I said for whenever you upload the object in the backend, there is an action called put. Whenever you upload an object, there is an action called put in the backend. Whenever you're downloading the data, that action is called as a get, right? Okay. Now, as it is going to be an automated process, whenever this user uploaded any object, let us say a.pdf, the user one or the user uploaded an object called a.pdf into source bucket. So here, this replication rule continuously monitor the source bucket for put actions. If there is any put action happen, immediately it identifies that, okay, some object got uploaded. What object uploaded? That object will be read by the replication rule, and that will be written into the S3 bucket called destination bucket. So here we need to understand something very important. So here I will say this is resource 1, this is resource 2, and this is resource 3. So here we have three different resources: bucket 1, bucket 2, and replication rule. What exactly happening here? Resource 3 is monitoring the resource 1, and resource 3 is reading the data from resource 1, and then resource 3 is writing data into resource 2. Means one resource is reading the data from another resource, and it is writing the data to another resource. Generally, to perform read operation or write operation, it requires a permission. If the user requires a permission, we will apply a policy to the user so that the user can get the required permissions and all. But here the replication rule is not a user, it is a resource. So how we should apply the permissions? How we should apply the permissions? The permissions to be applied with the help of IAM rule. We need to provide the permissions with the help of IAM rule. What permissions it requires? It should contain read permission. It should contain write permissions on bucket 2, read permission on bucket 1, and monitoring permission also. So in a simple words, we need source bucket, we need destination bucket, and our requirement is whenever an object got uploaded to the source bucket, that has to be automatically replicated or copied to bucket 2, which is a destination. Then the replication rules can be used, and the replication is a rule is a resource which requires some permissions in order to read the data from bucket 1 and write the data into bucket 2. And that permissions can be provided with the help of IAM role. In this practical, we will see the replication rules along with the IAM role practical also. It is very easy to create the IAM role. We don't create that manually. I will show you. Okay. So what exactly here? What exactly is going to happen? So we have a source bucket, right? We have a source bucket. Let us say this is in Northern Virginia region. And here we have a destination bucket. And this is, let us say, in Mumbai. The reason why I am using two different regions is just to show you that the replication rules will work with the buckets across two different regions also. Purely the purpose of the replication rules are backup purpose. So we can have the same set of data in a different bucket, in a different region, or in the same region. And here we have a replication rule which will read the data from source bucket and which can write the data into destination bucket. And here we will attach an IAM row, right? And here we have another advantage. We have another feature here, another option. So here, let us say the user is uploading all the data, right? Using a standard storage class because the data is frequently accessible data. What is the purpose of replication? As a standby data or as a backup data, which means we don't regularly access the data from the destination bucket. That is as a backup, right? So there is no point of replicating the data into standard storage class. We can have standard IA or any storage class. So here we have an option to replicate the data into destination bucket using any storage class irrespective of the source bucket, irrespective of source bucket's storage class option. It's purely your requirement. Okay, right. So now let us write down few points here and then just we can move on with the practical. Replication rules allows you to replicate the objects from one bucket to another, one bucket to another. And here, so there is something called the source and destination buckets can be in the same region or across different regions. There is no restriction for that. And there is one restriction, that these replication rules cannot replicate the existing objects. What does that mean? Let us say here I have an S3 bucket in which already I have a 5 objects. Let us say the time is 6:50 p.m. today. Already 5 objects are there, right? And now I'm going to create the replication rule at let us say at 6 p.m., which means whatever the objects already available in the bucket before creating the replication rule, those objects cannot be replicated by the replication rule. So earlier we used to replicate them manually, like copy paste or use some kind of commands and all. Then Amazon introduced something called batch job, which is not free, chargeable. Like I think $0.50 or $1. One if it will only execute once. What this batch job will do, it will read all the data whatever is available before the replication rule created, and that data will be replicated by the batch job into the destination bucket. It will only execute once. It's a one-time job. Okay, so here I can say replication rules cannot replicate the already existing objects, and we need to use AWS batch job, which can execute once to replicate existing objects from source to destination buckets. And from then onwards, all the objects will be replicated using the replication rules. So here I think you got the point, right? Existing objects cannot be replicated using the replication rule. And to replicate them, you can use a batch job, which is chargeable, or you can use a manual replication also. Like manual, you can copy paste, you can download and you can upload, or you can use some CLI to replicate. Okay. AWS batch job is available at actual charges. I can say AWS batch job is not free and you will be charged for executing the job. But in the real time for organizations, that cost is not important. They don't care about the pricing. But as a beginner or as a student, while we are learning, we don't want to pay the money, right? For that reason, just I mentioned this point. So now what we do is let us try to understand this replication rules with the help of hands-on exercise. So create a replication rules to replicate all the objects from source bucket to destination bucket. Also use AWS batch job. You guys can skip that step to avoid charges, but I will show you. Also use AWS batch job to replicate existing objects. If you skip that batch job part, existing objects cannot be replicated. Okay. So create, so we need two buckets, right? Create S3 bucket. I will name it as source today's date 08 OCT 2025 in Northern Virginia. Then create S3 bucket. I will say destination 08 October 2025. Let us say in Mumbai. Then upload any 5 objects into source bucket. Why? To check the AWS batch job also. Then create a replication rule on source bucket to replicate the data into destination bucket with standard IA storage class. Then also create AWS batch job to replicate the existing 5 objects. Okay, let us check this. So let me log into our AWS account. Yeah, so here is the AWS account. Already I logged in. Let me get into S3. So here, let me get into the general purpose buckets. Let me click on create bucket. So this is the source bucket name, which I'm planning to use. And I will keep all default options. Create bucket. All default options means no versioning enabled and nothing. Create bucket. Now let me create a destination bucket. Okay, destination bucket to be in the Mumbai region. So to create the bucket in Mumbai, first I need to switch to Mumbai region first. And let me click on create bucket. So we created 2 buckets, one in Northern Virginia, which is going to act as a source bucket, and the second one is in Mumbai, which is going to act as a destination bucket. And let me open the destination bucket, and you can see no objects. Now I will open the source bucket. You can see the name here. Let me upload 5 objects because these 5 are going to be the existing objects. Okay, one, any, two. Okay, so since I don't have any here. Okay, one, two, three, four, five objects. Okay, I'm going to click on upload. All objects will be uploaded to the source bucket with the help of, into the standard storage class. That also I will show you. Click on close. You can see the 5 objects. Storage class is going to be the standard. I did not uploaded any object into destination bucket. Now I have the requirement to replicate all objects automatically into destination bucket, right? Okay. So now from which bucket to which bucket you would like to replicate? Source to destination, right? So now you need to go to the source bucket. Here you have an option called management tab. See here, click on the management tab. So lifecycle rules, we will cover that in some time, mostly today or in the next session. It depends on time. So here you can see the replication rules, right? Okay, so here you can see an option called create replication rule. Click on create replication rule. What is the message you got here? Replication requires versioning to be enabled for the source bucket. But here it is not asking, or it is not mentioning anything about the destination bucket. But if whenever you want to create a replication rule, versioning must be mandatory. Versioning is a mandatory. So here I will let you know, I will write down a point, a note point. Versioning must be enabled on source and destination buckets. Replication rules require versioning must be enabled. But in our case, we create, if you remember, while creating the bucket, I mentioned that we are creating the buckets with all default values, which means no versioning enabled. That's why here replication requires versioning must be enabled. So how to enable the versioning on a bucket? Go to the bucket. So right now I'm on the, okay, let me go back, source bucket. How to enable versioning? Click on properties. This is the one, right? Click on edit, enable. Again, just I enabled the versioning on the source bucket only. We did not enable the versioning on the destination bucket yet. Okay, right. Now let us continue with the replication rule. We should get an error the moment once we choose the destination bucket. So here, go to management tab, create replication rule. Replication rule name. We can use any name, that doesn't matter. Just a name. Status must be enabled. Source bucket name automatically pick because we created the replication rule on the bucket. So here we have a rule scope. What is the meaning of a scope? In general, what is the meaning of a scope? A kind of requirement. What is our requirement? Like, would you like to replicate all objects, or would you like to replicate only few objects? If you want to replicate all objects, you have to select this one, apply to all objects in the bucket. So every object will be replicated. Or you can limit this rule to be applied only to few objects. Depends on prefix, means any object starts with the letter A, those objects will be replicated. Or you can use some tagging. Whatever the object is having, I can say env is the prod. Whatever the objects are having a tag called env prod, they should be replicated. That is what the limit. You can limit a kind of a filtration. Instead of replicating all objects, you can decide what objects to be replicated. Or we can select apply to all objects, so that every object will be replicated to the destination bucket from the moment once the replication rule got created. Objects, whatever available already, they can't be replicated using this replication rule. Okay, now you have to choose a destination bucket. And the destination bucket can be in the same AWS account or in two different AWS accounts also, which means I can replicate the data to the S3 bucket, which is in your AWS account. That is also possible. Okay, right. So choose a bucket in this account, like, or you can say a different account. So I need to enter your 12-digit AWS account ID. I need to provide a bucket name, which is available in your AWS account. But here, the destination bucket is in the same AWS account. Bucket name. Let me click on browse to which bucket. Destination. This is the one. Choose path. And the moment once we select the destination bucket, I got an error. Replication requires versioning to be enabled for the destination bucket. So two options. One, you can go back and you can enable, or you can click on enable versioning, and versioning enabled on the destination bucket also. Now here, IAM role. Permission to access the specified resources means this replication rule must access the source bucket and destination bucket, and it requires some permissions. And that permissions can be provided using IAM role. If you know, I think this is the role, but I don't want to use this one. Easiest method is create new role. So a role will be created with the relevant permissions, and I will show you the role also. And while it is replicating, if you want, you can enable encryption. We will discuss that encryption also. Destination storage class. If you want to change the storage class of the objects in the destination bucket, you can select this checkbox and you can choose the destination storage class also. Then scroll down. These are additional options. What are these additional options? A replication time control, which means the objects will be replicated maximum within 15 minutes of time. 99.99% of the objects will be replicated to the destination bucket within 15 minutes. Even you upload 1,000 terabyte, 10,000 terabyte, that doesn't matter, but it is chargeable. Okay. If I don't select this, there might be some delay. There might be some delay. Replication metrics. Like, what is the meaning of a metric? Like how much data got replicated, how many objects got replicated, how much time it took. That is kind of monitoring that we can cover in the CloudWatch. Delete marker replication means if any object got deleted in the source bucket, that will be marked with a delete marker, right? If you want to replicate that, you can enable this object so that the delete marker will be replicated to the destination bucket. Delete marker will be replicated. Let me enable this. This is not chargeable, but if you delete any object permanently from the source bucket, it will not be replicated. Only a delete marker will be replicated. That we will observe practically. Now we need to click on save. Now it will identify that in the source bucket, there are 5 objects available which cannot be replicated using the replication rule. Which cannot be replicated using the replication rule. See here, replicate existing objects. Would you like to replicate the existing objects? You can enable a one-time batch operations from this replication configuration. Means that job also use the same replication rule configuration only. Like whenever it replicates the destination bucket, it will choose what we call that the storage class as a standard IA. You guys can select no to avoid that additional $1.50 or some charges. I will select yes. Yes, I would like to replicate because I don't want to manually copy paste. Click on submit. Job settings. Automatically run the job. Completion report. Would you like to generate a completion report? Yes, I would like to generate completion report scope. What you would like to include in the report? All tasks, failed tasks, successful task, and everything. And where you would like to store that particular report. You have to choose a bucket. This account. Let me browse S3. Let me choose. Yeah, let me choose this bucket. So the report will be stored into this particular bucket called versioning 26 September 2025. Then scroll down. And this AWS batch job also required permissions because this job will read the source bucket right into the destination bucket, right? So just you can choose a create new role and a new role will be created with what permissions? Here, you can click here with these permissions. What exactly? Action, initiate replication on source bucket, and get object and get object version. It will get the list of objects and the version of the objects. Put object. Put means write object into versioning bucket, but bucket name is version 26. The report, completion report. Allow. Effect is allow. Action, get replication configuration, put inventory configuration, and effect allow. S3 put object into destination bucket. So click on save. This is automated. Amazon will create this role for us. Looks like same as a policy, right? Looks like same as a policy, because the permissions can be applied using a policy only, but the policy cannot be attached directly to the resources. So that will be included into your role and then it will be attached. So now let me refresh here. What is the status? Preparing, which will take a few minutes of time. So what is the status? Active. Now total objects. This batch operation job identified that in the source bucket, there are 5 objects. Those 5 objects must be replicated to the destination bucket, and percentage complete 0%. First, it will prepare manifestation and all. So let me click on the job ID just to see the status. 0%, 0%, 0%. So it will take some time. While it is getting executed, what I do is I will open the IAM service just to show you how the IAM role looks like. In a new tab, I opened the IAM service because for the while creating the replication rule, an IAM role got created automatically, right? Let us verify that. So here, click on roles. Today's date is October 8th. This is the one which created just now. This is the role. Let me click on the role, and that role is attached with a policy here. See here, this is the policy. Role is included with a policy. I mean, policy is included into the role. Then the role is like if you purchase a laptop from the US, right? That US connector, US adapter is not, you cannot connect that into an Indian socket. Then what you do? You will get a converter kind of a thing. The same concept. Okay, let me click here. For understanding purpose, I compared in that converter kind of example. Okay, if I click that policy, just we will see what exactly that permission the IAM role policy contains. See here, what service? S3, list, permission management, read, write, tagging, resources, and all these things. Let me go to JSON. These are the permissions. Actions. What actions? List bucket, get replication configuration, get object version for replication, get object, get is like kind of download or a read kind of a read. Allow, effect is allow. All these actions will be allowed on what resources? Source bucket and destination bucket. Then replicate object, replicate a delete, replicate a tag will be allowed on source bucket and destination bucket. This is what the IAM role is. Okay. Now let me refresh this job. What happened? Status completed, percentage complete 100%, total succeeded. How many objects? 5, which is 100% succeeded. Sometimes if any object got failed to replicate, you can see here. And time in active state, it took 1 minute 3 seconds to complete this particular batch operations job. And that particular completion report got generated, and that report is placed in this particular S3 bucket. Let us check that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to Amazon S3. First, let us verify the this bucket. So see here, job with the job ID name. Then here results, click on the results. Can you see a CSV? Let us download the CSV. Yep, it got downloaded. Let me open the CSV file just to understand what exactly it contains. Okay, let me see here. Bucket name, key means the object name which is replicated, status succeeded, 200 is a success code, status is success. So all 5 objects got replicated from source bucket to destination bucket. Okay, right. Now let us go to the destination bucket to physically verify whether the objects got replicated or not. Can you see 5 objects got replicated? Yes. Now, not yet completed. Now what I do is upload an object into source bucket and observe that it same got replicated to destination bucket. Whenever, what is the concept of replication rule? Whenever you upload something into the source bucket, that should be automatically replicated to the destination bucket. And this batch job is only one time. Once it got executed, that's it. There is no use of batch job anymore. From now onwards, the replication rules will take care. Okay. So what I do is I will go back to the buckets and I will go to the source bucket. Where is the source bucket? Here it is, right? See here, source bucket. Let me upload an object. Upload, add files. Okay. I am uploading an object name with a day30. Upload. I'm uploading into source bucket, right? You can see source bucket. Close. How many objects are there in the source bucket? 6. Now, let us go to destination bucket. Let us go to destination bucket and observe that the newly uploaded object should automatically replicate to the destination bucket. But you can't see here, right? Just we are able to see 5 objects. It should be 6. Day 13. Let us wait, which will take few seconds to minutes of time. See here, we did nothing, and you can see the 6th object. Okay, now let me upload. Right now, in which bucket I am in? Source bucket. Let me upload few more objects. Now I'm uploading 4 objects at a time. Yep, done. Right. Okay. Now let me go to destination bucket. See here, this is the destination bucket. Let me refresh. Still 6. Just wait for like 1 or 1.5 minutes. You can see all those newly added. See here, 10 objects. You can see 14, 15, 16, 17. Right? Okay. This is how object is what data will be replicated automatically. Now we need to verify the delete marker also. Delete any object from the source bucket and observe that the delete marker, because whenever we delete any object from a versioned bucket, a delete marker will be created, right? Now we need to observe that the delete marker got replicated to the destination bucket. Why? At the time of replication rule creation, we enabled a replicate delete marker option. That's why the delete marker will be replicated. That's why delete marker will be replicated. But Later, we will verify another one also, like permanent deletion and off. Okay. So let me go to the source bucket. You can see show versions is off, means we are seeing the objects, not the versions. Now, if I select any object, the first object, which is day 5 and 6, let me click on delete. And it is asking me to type delete objects. So how many objects here? 9 objects. And if I click on show, still I'm the source bucket. If I click on show versions, I can see a delete marker, for this particular object called day 5 and 6. Now, if I go to destination bucket, let me refresh. How many objects? 9 objects. And I can't see day 5 and 6 file. If I click on show versions, I can see a delete marker here, right? Okay, now based on this, we can say, okay, whenever there is a delete marker got created, that will be replicated to the destination bucket. Now, permanently delete any object from the source bucket and observe that the object is still available on destination bucket. Means if you delete any object permanently from the source bucket, it will not be deleted from the destination bucket. If it got deleted, we can't say it is for disaster recovery, or if it is, we can't say it is for backup purpose, right? That's what we are going to observe. Okay, right. So how to do that? So go to the source bucket. See here, I'm in the source bucket. To delete any object permanently, first we need to turn on this show versions tab button. So I will select 3, 4, 5, 6 objects, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 objects. Click on delete. Whenever we are deleting any objects permanently, it will ask you to type permanently delete. To confirm deletion, type permanently delete in the text input field. Now it got deleted permanently. It got deleted permanently. See here, how many objects are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, including the versions, including the delete marker. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Permanent deletes will never ever replicate. See here, let me refresh. Still, you can see all 11. If you want, you can wait for 10 minutes, half an hour, 1 day, 10 days. These objects will still exist in the destination bucket. Just to check something else, let me upload one more object into the source bucket. Just to show you that no need to wait anymore. Because if it got replicated, that means already previous objects to be replicated, right? If there is a provision. Okay. So I uploaded an object called day 18. And if here you can see day 18, and if you can't see, I mean, if you observe that the deleted objects are still available, means it's done. See here, day 18 is already there, but 16, 17, 15, 14, which were deleted from the source bucket, are still exist in your destination bucket, which means whenever you delete anything permanently from the source bucket, they can't be deleted using replication rules. The job of the replication rule is only to replicate the newly created objects into the destination bucket. They won't replicate the permanent deletion of the objects. Even you can say, okay, if it can't replicate the delete, why the delete marker got replicated? That's a valid question, right? See here, the delete marker got replicated. Why the delete action got replicated? So here you need to understand that the delete marker is also an object which was newly created, right? This is also an object which was created in the source bucket. That's why the delete marker got replicated to the destination bucket. Okay, yeah, let me show you something else. So here I click on show versions. And if I delete the delete marker, I'm deleting the delete marker from the source bucket, means a permanent deletion of the delete marker, right? But that delete marker still exists in your destination bucket. Only newly created objects will be replicated. If you delete something from the source, they can't be replicated to the destination bucket. This is sometimes this replication rules will be used by many organizations for backup purpose and all. And also one more thing, we need to identify this also. What is a source bucket storage class? Objects in the source bucket, standard, and in the destination bucket, standard IA. That's because of we configured in the replication rule to replicate the objects in standard IA storage class. Okay, right. So this is about replication rules. This is about the replication rules. I hope you guys are clear with the replication rules. And if you have any questions, just let me know so that we can take up those questions and we can discuss about them. Any questions? Anybody having any questions on these replication rules? I think it's already 7:20. So even we can't cover the life cycle rules. That requires a half an hour. So what we do is in the next session, we will cover the life, I mean, the tomorrow session, we will cover the life cycle rules and as well as the encryption part also. Encryption is most important thing, right? I mean, there is nothing that we can do manually, but how to enable it, what are the different types of encryptions, important thing like how to enable KMS and default, that part we will cover. Okay, so keeping these replication rules aside, do you guys have any questions on any topic which we already completed, the previous topics? Any questions on the previous topics? Okay, I'm not getting any responses. That means I guess you guys are clear and no questions till now. Okay, then if you guys are clear, let us stop the session here and let us continue tomorrow with the lifecycle rules and encryption on S3. I mean, those two are also a features of S3 service. Okay. Thank you, everyone. We'll continue tomorrow.